Okay, we'll just give it a few seconds for people to, there we go. Got a few folks joining us. Okay, well, good afternoon. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. I want to thank our series sponsor, the Job Gym. They're always a great partner for all of our employment and training needs. I'd like to introduce Amanda Shannon from the Job Gym just to say a few words. Amanda?
Thanks so much, Dolores. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm really looking forward to this presentation. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Joy a little bit more over the last couple of years, and he is such a wealth of information and a great presenter as well. So really looking forward to today's session. Thanks so much.
Wonderful. Thanks, Amanda. All right, so today we do welcome Joy Chakraborty. He's the head of global operations. Wow, I'm struggling with that word for Axzora Group. He's going to walk us through how to future-proof your business strategy through a forward-looking approach designed to help entrepreneurs and business leaders protect, scale, and innovate their enterprises in a rapidly evolving marketplace. Sounds like we're going to get a lot of great information. So I'm very excited to hear the presentation. The format for our session will be as follows. You can submit your questions through throughout the presentation through the Q&A or the chat button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll address all of the questions at the end of the presentation. All right, at this time, I'll turn it over to you, Joy.
Thank you so much, Amanda and Dolores, for the introduction. So welcome, everyone. So like Dolores mentioned, I mean, why we need to future-proof our business. And first of all, why should you listen to Joy? And what exactly Joy brings onto the table? That's more important. Now, basis my experience and basis the experience that I carry in my current role, I've worked in various countries and I've worked for various diverse organizations. I've spent considerable amount of time working for some of the large US banks, and basis which I draw a lot of my experience, which kind of helps me drive my business in Canada. Now, something that I learned from one of my earlier employer is Bank of America. That's where we kind of learned about something called MGP. Okay, MGP is known as multi-generation plan. So what exactly MGP does is it allows you to think of future. That means what exactly would your business look like 20 years from now? It may sound that it's really far, but practically your business has got a more longer life than just 20 years. You will probably business will last for about 100 years probably. It may not be with you. You probably will pass it over to somebody else in the next generation, or probably you will package it and sell it to somebody else. Now, when we worked there, the idea was that we should introduce something like interactive chat option, and that was way back in 2015. Okay, at that time, Air Alaska already had chat option there. That was a futuristic thing. They already had that, and of course, they had the kind of money to invest in creating the chatbot. Bank of America at those days was still thinking about having a chatbot, interactive chatbot, which gives realistic update, real time update about airlines and tickets and all those. Air Alaska was able to do that, but may not be everybody. We not have the kind of money to really invest on futuristic stuff like that. It costs tons of money for technology, right? Now, so things like this. How do you bundle your products? How do you bundle your business so that 20 years from now, in case you want to looking to retire, how do you get out of it really being rich? And your customer who buys the business from you is also going to feel equally great about the business. Now, the example that I have is a friend who owns a funeral home. She actually bought the funeral home from another gentleman who owned it for about 40 years. And then he decided to retire. And now this lady takes over, purchases it, and then they start, husband and wife both, they start running the business. Now, as I talked to her, I mean, we were talking about how to make this business better, greater, and all that. So then came idea of, we looked across the border, okay, down south. What exactly an American business does. And there's some great examples and some great case studies we're going to bring this here now. And this is where we had the technical problem, but I'm going to try and see if I can navigate through this one. And yeah, I'm sorry. The sound seems to be acting cranky. But I'm going to do that in that case. Dolores and Amanda, did you receive the presentation yet?
I did not.
No, sorry.
Okay, it's just one of those days. I will try and see if I can send the link over. So in my screen, okay, if I was able to play this, then I would have. So here, they're actually talking about the movie McDonald's. Okay, so McDonald's, how did they come up with such a big brand? It was just like, two brothers. They were trying to set the shop up. Now, McDonald's, they became a big brand not because these two guys, they're the ones who did all the donkey's work, all the hard work, all the futuristic views, thoughts, and all that. The guy who actually took the business from there and then bundled it as the guy who actually made the name bigger. Okay, McDonald's became really big is because of these two guys. Now, I will not be able to play the video like I said. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the screen where they show you what exactly they're doing. Now, this is the place. Take a look at this screen. What are they doing? They're trying to enact the entire flow of how the burger is going to be made and how the burger is going to ship from one place to other place to other place. So they're kind of doing a role play of the entire sequence. Now, why is that done? Now, look at any kind of franchise model. You'll find that McDonald's space looks the same way in Taiwan. It looks the same way in Manila. It looks the same way in New Delhi or in Toronto or in New York City. It's because they designed it that way, because that is the optimal efficiency that they observed. The same thing that I even suggested my friend that, you know what, you have a great concept. Your product is about 100 years old or your service is about 100 years old. Why is that you're not considering making a process map of the entire business and try to commoditize that? How do you commoditize that? You are bundling the entire concept. So that the two avenues that opens up. One, in case there is somebody else who wants to open up another funeral home, they don't have to really reinvent the wheel. You already have the entire package with you. You could just pass it over to them and they can just take it. And the benefit is you can also earn a loyalty or a consulting fee for them to set up the shop there. Okay. Second benefit you have is when you're looking to retire, you could then bundle the whole thing and sell it off to somebody else who will really find it valuable, because then you are giving them everything, end-to-end solution. Now, there are a few more criteria that you have to look at because this is a business. Okay, few things. You need to first make sure that you are looking at the right trademarks. Okay, now Axzora as an organization, we have a trademark. We have made sure that it's not going to anyone else. So tomorrow, in case I'm looking to liquidate my business, I am going to give the entire system, entire IP and everything else to somebody else who wants to own it. My company is barely 8 years old, but I know that it's going to be 50 years old. Then with this, I'm adding more and more goodwill to my brand. So it is your value kind of keeps swelling. Any kind of intellectual property, don't think that it's the same business that one funeral home does, the second funeral home does, third one does. Just take another example that you have is think of McDonald's burger, think of Burger King, or think of Chick-fil-A. These guys, they make burgers, but all these burgers are done differently, and the process they have is different. The way they fry the patty, the way they make the buns, the way they source it, the way they get it from someone else, they are all different. So they have their own process. Another example, banks, TD Bank, CIBC Bank, you take a check to the counter, the teller, they have a process. At the end, you get the money back into your account. That's different. But the process followed by each of these banks are different because of hundreds of years of their practices. Okay, so they have amalgamated a lot of those practices to create the package that you get to see. So things like that, right? Processes, again, you need to build them together because it is a value that you will be packaging and selling it to your the other party who is going to buy it from you. Look at domain names. Domain names, again, like mine is axzora.com. So we have made sure that we have by the spectrum of all the domains. You talk about axzora.kg for our Kyrgyzstan office, for axzora.in, axzora.ca, axzora.com, whatever is available, bought everything else. And I know that there is a money required there. Take a baby step. Don't have to go buy all the 50 domains where all you want. Make sure that all the domains that are relevant to your business are procured, because A domain name is like your digital identity. Okay, just imagine McDonald's not having mcdonalds.com or mcdonalds.ca with them. Okay, they have the biggest business, but they don't have the domain. It kind of seems like incomplete. That is where it really adds value. That's where it really plays, thing. Then all the other things, once you have a domain, you go your IP, register it all. There are a lot of grants available for registering such IPs as well. Make sure that you're using them to your benefit. Okay, it is a package at the end of it, right? 20 years from now, your brand name itself will have a value apart from the business. So bear that in mind. Patents and the benefits, we kind of spoke about this already. Any new innovation that you can think of, you probably are doing things differently, slightly different. You could go and register as a patent. Patent, again, has a lot of benefits that you have here in Canada, in Ontario. There are a lot of grants that you can avail. Okay, at least 80% of the grant of the entire expenses are funded by the province. So 20% is what you have to pay from your own. Based on your experience, they're all going to add to the business value. So again, it's not immediate value that you're going to realize. In about 15 years from now, as you look at liquidating your business, sell your business to somebody else, or diversify, looking for investors, all these will come into picture. Commoditizing, we kind of spoke about that. That means you're bundling it up. How do you bundle? Now, McDonald's actually had a problem. The ice cream machine that they had were not functioning, and they have signed a deal with only one vendor who was authorized to fix that. It was a contract that they signed with them. If it was broken, no one else could touch that because they had signed the deal in a way so that if you are buying an ice cream, you get a cheaper ice cream, McDonald's gets to make more money, and so on. So that way they have kind of tied a contract. So that way you have to identify who are the right guys who you're going to partner with. They will give you a better pricing because there's a long-term gain for that they are looking at as well. Okay, use tools like AI, AI-driven tools. There are a lot of those tools these days. Just Google it, and you'll find hundreds of these tools available for you to leverage in your tool. Make sure that you are collecting the data. So every time there is a customer who's coming inside to buy or online, collect those data because those are going to be an asset for you tomorrow. Because as you develop your business more and you get into more digital shopping and marketing, you'll find that those data helps you make those decisions or reach to the right customer. Shopify does it extensively. And there's Netflix. They do it extensively to customize the content and they can offer it to the customers. So those are some of the things that you should be looking at as well. Investing technology. Now, this is another one. We generally, what we do is we look at a SaaS as a model. It works great. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Like, if you're looking to invest in a business, you're looking for accounting software, the turnaround, you find QuickBooks. Yeah, QuickBooks has been working great for most businesses, and we're going to work for you. But you got to know one thing, that QuickBook is only something like a rent that you're paying because you are paying them on a monthly basis, right? It's not like something that you own. It doesn't really help you enhance your business value. So in that case, whatever you're paying on a monthly basis to QuickBook or a SaaS kind of software, you are paying them as a rent. That means in your profit and loss account, okay, it will be shown only in your expenses side. It is not going to add into your assets. One beautiful example, take baby step. I'm working with a client in Kitchener. She owns a hairdressing shop and business. And she was considering, she has a website which is very basic, but she says, you know what, I want to make that small investment into my business by looking at technology. So she now wants to add a booking system. That means she wants to have a calendar. If you click on the dates, it's going to show you the slots or schedule that is available. And from there, you can go make a booking. You'll also have the number of people who are available to service you, what kind of service you want, and you want to prepay all of those. It does not cost a lot, but the thing is, you've got to make that movement. You've got to think of adding those into your technology, into your system. Now, the other benefit is you can keep adding this on a module by module. So you got to partner with a technology partner who's ready to work with you in the next 5 years' time, and patiently work with you in realizing your dream of having this e-commerce solution. Okay, now that takes a lot of effort, and it's only the partnership that can help you. But again, having the transparency helps both the partners. So now we are working on that kind of solution where we are opening it up, saying that, you know what, we'll do this digital adoption for you. We'll make your customers access to how they can book their systems or services, I know, for haircuts and all those. So that kind of thing has to be there. Stepping away from SaaS model means that you are creating an application for yourself, which will be scalable. You could add a polka dot. You could do whatever you want. You have to know one thing, that SaaS applications are great, but not everything that they offer probably you'd be using in a business. So in this case, probably 30% of the application or the access or the features that they offer you, you not even touch them. So why pay for it, right? But again, there's no option for you to exclude it. Just take it or leave it kind of thing. It's a whole package. But your own custom software has got own benefits. It allows you a lot of flexibility in generating, adding new modules, taking things out, customizing it all the time. So those are something that you need to evaluate as well. Again, baby steps is more important. If you do not have funding, take baby steps. It's fine to do it slowly. It's okay. Business scalable management. Make sure that, like here, the example here is you got some of the applications. Again, like I said, these applications work perfectly fine. Okay, having a project management software or having a Salesforce or HubSpot kind of software for CRM. But again, those help you to get a kickstart, so you can get into it on the motion. But in the long run, you have to make sure that you are dropping this and then adopting something which you can stay. Because you have to know one thing: McDonald's, in their the point of sale system that they have their own proprietary application. They're not using a third-party application, because you don't want to pay somebody else to the job, because Salesforce is going to retain all the data, customer benefits, and all that. They're not going to give it to you. But if you're having your own software, that means the entire data, customer patterns, buying patterns, everything else stays with you for you to make a future decision. So that's very important for you. Okay. So please bear this in mind while you are doing your next 5 to 10 years of planning. Project management is something we think that, it's not a big project, but hey, you know what? If you're buying an ice cream machine as well, consider that as a project, because there is a money amount going in there, and then you're going to make any investment. How long will it take for you to get into fully operational mode? And from there on, how do you start servicing customer? So there is an entire timeline, budget, all the other resources. So consider this considering as a project management. It will only help you track your resources better. Right, so tariff and concentration risk. I think this is the most appropriate one. I mean, this morning I read something about Canada dropping all the tariffs. Well, that's a political thing. We're not getting into it. But yeah, at the end of it, we as a business people, I think we're going to get impacted nonetheless. So how do we diversify? Now, I have recently signed a contract with a German company, and then I realized that, it is not easy doing business in the European Union, because for every domain that I buy there, it needs to be registered with a local entity. That means I need to have physical presence there, or I need to have an address there. And now I bought a domain which I lost again because they suspended, saying that you don't have a presence. I said, hey, I'm in Canada and I've got my Canadian IDs. But they say, no, you cannot. So those are the challenges that you'll have to face. But again, you have to find ways, work with the export economic development teams here in Canada. They will help you identify those. The other thing is you could also work with the Chamber of Commerce. And the session that we had at Brock, we got introduced to the Italian, representative from Chamber. We got the Chinese. We also got the Danish representation. So those are easiest way to have a conversation with them to find out what are the ways to get into those market. Do not think about your product not being as big. You know what? I have worked with the York Entrepreneur Development Institute in Toronto. I met one entrepreneur there, and what she was doing was she was creating those essential oils, and she would export those import those essential oils from various countries like Africa, from some of the European countries, because those are all very local products. She will get them to Canada, get them tested, make sure that they're all compliant with the regulations, and then they will kind of start having, there's a market for everything, as long as you know that you are able to pitch it to those guys. So that way, you will, these chamber connections are invaluable in many ways. So that being there, make sure that you have your risk strategy in place. That means in case things were not to work, okay, we knew that it's going to come. Donald Trump is going to come, and the kind of no, the addresses that he did before he became the president, you could already sense it that but things going to change. Probably things will not be the same way it is right now. So your risk management should be agile. It should be able to capture things as it were, or predict even. So in case you're looking for a European market, you have to know the European market is very close and very volatile in terms of what is happening between Ukraine and Russia, right? So those kind of things you have to bear in mind. It is some amount of time investment plus a lot of reading. You capture what is happening in the global market. So that being there, yeah, so that brings me to the last slide here on what exactly you should all capture, or we should all capture. Again, it does not cost a lot, but taking a baby step like domain, I would encourage you to buy it for 10 years because that's the longest one. But if you think that's going to cost more money, take it for 2 years, begin it 1 year. Okay, there is a flexible option there. And if you think you can do it for 5 years, then there's a good value for, the rates kind of keep varying, fluctuating. If you buy it for a longer period, then you get it for cheaper price. Look at those as an option. Those are, again, very important because that's like a brand, and even if you don't have a European Union business, you could always route the web IP or address whenever somebody's looking for that, route to your main thing here. So the way we do it, like, if you're looking for Axzora.com or Axzora and all that, it gets routed back into our main portal because all the domains are connected that way, right? So that is what your technology can also help you achieve. Now, in my presentation at the end, I had actually two videos. One is the McDonald's one that I kept, and the other one is about this one. It's a Wall Street Journal video. You could YouTube it. It's in YouTube, free content. There you'll find the difference that I've given here as to what is the main difference between McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, or say Burger King. Okay, it is over a period of time they have evolved with their business strategy. Okay, now let me take you to the slide which talks about, again, it's not going to bring up the difference, but I'm going to share. I think I shared this video already with Dolores, and I hope she probably will be able to email it to all. Okay, let's see. This is an important slide. Okay, look at the solution. Chick-fil-A has got very less options, but yes, they are kind of stuck with that because they can optimize the pricing. Okay, because they keep making things in bulk, so economy of scale helps them reduce pricing. Whereas Burger King wants to give customers a better option, so because of that, they keep adding more. All the more for these guys, McDonald's, they've got 49 editions that they look at. So again, it adds up more expensive, but again, they say customers, there's an appetite that McDonald's have. But overall, out of these three guys, Chick-fil-A has been the one who has been extremely like the underdogs. They have been performing really well. But the good thing here is, with limited options, if I have to ask about, say, 10 Americans about, which one do you prefer out of these three? At least 6 of them would say they prefer Chick-fil-A. The only reason is the consistency and the way they have evolved the business model. Right, so that's pretty much I had with the content. I'm going to open it up or, take any questions there maybe.
Hey, that's great. Thank you so much. So if anybody has any questions, if you just put it either in the chat or the Q&A, we can address your questions at this time. I do have a question for you, Joy. So with your customers, are you seeing that there are a lot of business owners who are open to diversification? I mean, I know that there's a threat. I know that there are a lot of businesses that maybe are a little more open-minded, but are you seeing that from your end?
So we have to appreciate one thing is that, most of our businesses that we work with are small and medium sized.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a rush that they're in most of the times. So they don't really consider looking outside unless somebody really instigates or suggests, because they're so bogged down with their day-to-day activity. So as you talk about it, that's when they start looking, oh yeah, that could be a potential thing, right? The session that I conducted here at the Niagara Falls Hub some time ago, about 3 weeks ago, people were surprised that saying, you know what, wow, we never thought of, things like this, that 5 years later things can go, differently. So unless you talk to them and express and show them that there are opportunities, and also the Fed or the government or the regions are willing to help you, they don't know.
Yeah,
Right, that's been the challenge.
that's been the challenge. I also wonder if you're seeing any challenges around, and we did talk about this at Niagara Networks a little bit, the generational shift with employees, but also with customers. Are you seeing any of that with your clients, and how are they responding to that?
See, from IT side of it, things are very volatile, with AI coming in, it's looked like the newest toy everyone wants. Okay. But what is the applicability of that? Do we really need it everywhere? Is something that people don't want to hear. Because I've seen that more business, they say, you know what, I want to use AI. I said, okay, let's talk about it, because we are not a business that we will just sell AI to you because we want to sell. We want to understand the use case. I mean, do you really need it? Because we don't want you to keep spending money forever, right? So as we break things down, all right, that's when they realize. I mean, things. So for us, we have not seen a lot of those, because technology as such is kind of ever evolving, So these things are always up, getting changed, new things coming up, new tools, new ways of doing things. So yeah, we haven't seen a lot that way.
So what's the biggest challenge that you are seeing with your clients?
The see, technology is something that people, if you don't, so mostly in the Niagara region, if I have to talk about, right, most companies I work with, the philosophy is, why fix it when it's not broken, right? And this is the same thing that came up even with Niagara Networks. When we met up there, I think our chairperson brought this up, saying that if it is still making those holes in those machines, that means it's still good to go for the next 50 years. Unless it's broken, people will not. So there are technology changes, like there are IoTs, okay, Internet of Things. There are those smart devices. There are a lot of those enhancements coming up, but adoption, right? There was, and we spoke about this in that session itself. There were about $250,000 Fed has set aside only for AI adoption. Okay. Now, what that means is the industries will need to come up and say that, you know what, I want to streamline this as a process or make it smarter with AI. We could work with them. We could do a patent of the whole idea, and then they get the grant. They are able to go and apply for the grant. But we did not find too many excited companies coming up, and that's something that we probably have to shake up, because knowing that the future is AI, you have to adapt. You have to move on with the technology, you like it or not, right? Otherwise, you will end up being a case study for others to read.
That makes sense. And I guess, part of the concern, I guess, around the AI is you start using it, if you don't have some policies or some guidelines in place first, it could really blow up. And so are you doing some of that kind of work? Are you working with clients to put some of those, like, do they understand that, those processes need to be in place before you actually start using AI? Because once you cut it out, it's hard to reel it back in, right?
Yeah, it's a C, right? AI, you can ask anything and then it's gonna tell you that you don't want to put your foot on the mouth. So you got to be very careful about the use case. So there was a company inquiry that we responded to from Texas. Okay, the concern they had was that they had data with them. They want to just have an AI model, but the problem is the data security as well. While they don't want to breach somebody else's IP, they're also protective about their own IP. How do I keep things within my country and not going outside and all that. So those are some of the challenges that are there. We do educate them about, if you are going out in the world, you cannot be untouched, right? Somebody will be there. You can only be educated through your policies, procedures, and probably some amount of cybersecurity controls, right? But apart from that, everything else is accessible to almost everyone, unless you really prefer to stay closed all the time.
Mhm.
So being from the bank, I can understand and I totally appreciate that companies want to protect, but it's like, the risk reward balance. So you got to take some amount of risk so that you get rewarded, right? So yeah, I mean, it's all about training policies, and continuous education that kind of helps you make sure that you're not really breaching the barriers.
Mhm, mhm, that makes sense. I know that at Niagara Networks, we also, like you mentioned, we had representatives from the China Canadian Chamber of Commerce, the Italian Trade Agency, the Danish Chamber of Commerce. We've had some meetings last week, which included the British Canadian Chamber of Commerce. So we're really exploring some pathways for our members, our businesses here in Niagara to be able to explore other opportunities across the world, around the world. But sometimes what we hear from some of our smaller businesses is that they're too small. What do you have to say to that?
I mean, your idea is great idea. So first of all, we need to appreciate that, right? You have a market. If you say that there's a market everywhere, okay, you need to first do your research, okay? And like I said, you got to have this way where you could commoditize. Commoditization is something that we have learned from the Americans. The business there is so smart. Everything that American come up with is a commoditization. You talk about QuickBooks, they have. Talk about Apple. What is Apple doing? You talk about an Apple phone, they have an ecosystem of appliance and applications. They have bundled it together. So the moment I put my earpod on, it connects immediately. It is a family, right? So that is commoditization. You got Apple Music that comes along with it. You got news that comes with it. All of these are paid. You get for free for some time and then pay. So things like that. You got to learn that your business can be commoditized. You have to first package it. And then as you see it, you don't have to go and own the business there. Look for somebody who probably wants to do the same business with you. Look for somebody who's willing to do a joint venture with you. So co-branded, it could be Axzora and Dolores Incorporation, right? We partner it together and then you start doing it. You supply the IP and you can do, a kind of sharing model. So those commercials are creative stuff that you have to come up with, but nothing is small. There is a market for everything everywhere. Unless you go and explore it, you'll never know.
Yeah, that's true. And so I think that speaks to the spirit of a true entrepreneur, right? You can't be afraid to take a risk, do your homework, be smart, but you have to be fearless, I think.
Yeah, and it's your product. You know it, right? Like this. It's
Yeah.
your product. Right?
Yes.
No one can fool you. No one can teach you how to make a burger because that's what you do for a living. Right.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, those are some of the experience that I had and people I interact with. I get these a lot, but well, thanks for asking those questions.
Yes, of course. I don't see any questions in the chat or the Q&A. Amanda, I don't know if you have any questions. Now's your chance if you do. Okay. No, great presentation. Thank you so much for sharing so much information. It was really enlightening. And thank you for taking the time to share your expertise with us. Our next session is going to take place on June 17th. And the discussion will be how to keep the spark alive, easy ways to motivate and engage your team. So it should be another great conversation. Details will be in this week's What's Up Wednesday. Hope you can join us. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and have yourselves a wonderful afternoon. Thanks, folks. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.